Hello, 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 and welcome to another edition of Cat Chat. I'm Keaton Galogly alongside head coach Danny Sprinkle, and we are live at Montana's Rib and Chop House. Can you all hear me okay if you're in the audience today? You guys hear all right? Can you hear okay? All right. No? Need a little louder? All right, there we go. Check, check. All right. Well, we want to make sure you all can hear. We got a nice crowd here. We got a lot of great basketball to talk about, and want to make sure everybody over at the Rib and Chop House is having a delicious meal and a great conversation today. All right, again, I'm Keaton Galogly along with head coach Danny Sprinkle. We're going to talk some women's hoops in a little bit, but we're going to start on the men's side. Coach, how we doing? How we feeling? Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday. Taco Tuesday, but you're at Rib and Chop House, which is always even better.
I think they have
good
tacos
weekend.
here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, good weekend this last weekend. A 2-0 weekend on the men's side on a long road trip through northern Colorado
Yep.
and northern Arizona, and really a road trip that it was kind of expected to be really tough just because of the teams you're playing too. I mean, Northern Colorado was the team y'all played in the Big Sky Conference Championship last year, and they were picked second in the Big Sky, but that turned into a pretty lopsided victory, a 77-56 win for Montana State in Greeley, and only gave up 20 points in that first half against Northern Colorado's offense. That was a pretty impressive defensive showing, Coach.
Yeah, I mean, it was tremendous. Our guys' mindset last week was about defense and rebounding, and therefore that's why we played well offensively. You know, when we're getting stops and when our head's in the right place, you know, it really helps us. And our guys, they came in focused after the loss to Eastern Washington and had a tremendous effort on Thursday.
Yeah, I mean, this is a Northern Colorado team that's been great offensively. They had three just tremendous offensive guards coming into this game. Dalen Kuntz, Matt Johnson, Dalton Connect, all these guys were between 13 and 19 points per game. Kuntz only 7 points in this game. Johnson did not score in this game, and Dalton Connect only scored 8 points in this game as well. I mean, that's pretty impressive to slow down the perimeters guys on their squad.
Yeah, I don't think anybody will hold those guys to 15 and below the rest of the year. You know, I mean, a lot of it, you know, they missed some shots too, but I thought our guys, you know, they were really dialed into the scouting report and the details of it. I thought our guards did a tremendous job, and our big guys even hedging on some screens, making it tough on those guys, and we really took them out of rhythm.
Yeah, not easy to do against Northern Colorado in that game. And, this was another contest where we saw some of the guys in the front court really shine. Jabril Bello had 17 points on 7 of 9 shooting. Great Osabor had 15 points. He went 6 of 7 from the field. That was a lot of fun watching those two guys kind of work in and out. And really, we saw them on the court a lot together in this contest as well.
Yeah, you know, and we did. We kind of went to our jumbo lineup against them, and both those guys responded. They were tremendous inside, not only scoring, but, you know, just establishing deep position. And then when we threw it in, we could kick it out to shooters.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's been impressive watching Jabril Bello, especially this year, his senior year, and all the growth he's had is just how confident he is in what he wants to do with the ball.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like he's ever questioning himself when he has the ball and that double team comes. Is that what you're seeing?
Yeah, you know, and he's gotten much better than he was the previous 2 years of passing out of double teams. He expects it now, and we work on it quite a bit in practice. And, you know, he trusts the guys that he's throwing it out to knock down those shots.
Yeah, those shots certainly fell. And before we talk a little bit about the guard play, too, I mean, Great Osabor in this game, 6 of 7 as well. And, man, the footwork you see from Great is really, really impressive. It's just you don't see big men with that type of footwork too often.
Yeah, you know, he's kind of that whirling dervish for how big he is. You know, he's got really good spin moves, and he's really quick with it. And so he's such a wide body, too. When he does spin, you know, if you're off balance at all, you know, he's getting to where he wants to get to.
Yeah, well, a lot of fun to watch those two guys shine in this contest. And Darius Brown in that ball game as well. 7 assists, 1 turnover, and in this game he hit the first of 2 milestones, career milestones that he hit this week. In that game he got over 500 career assists. That is an impressive number. What does a number like that mean to a kid like this?
Yeah, you know, that's who he is. You know, he's an unselfish kid at nature. Like when he's bringing the ball up the floor, he doesn't care about scoring. You know, and that's what's even more impressive about the other, you know, record he set, or not record, but
milestone
he hit with 1,000 points. But, you know, 1,000 points and 500 assists. You know, and that's with a COVID shortened season.
Right, the COVID shortened season and the knee injury.
Yeah, and so, you know, he's a tremendous player, and he's actually just getting better and better. And you know, he's getting into shape after not playing last year and getting comfortable within our system. And, you know, the thing I love about him now is he's starting to call the plays. You know, he's getting to that point of comfort where I don't need to call every play. And he's like, no, Coach, I got it, you know. And, you know, Robert Ford's going to get to that point too. and kind of like Xavier was the past 2 years. But that's where, Darius has been tremendous. But 500 assists at any level is tremendous.
Yeah, it's pretty fun to see. And give us a little more insight into that of how he's now calling the plays, right? Like, because when you're coming over and learning a new system, learning a new offense, learning a new subset of guys, like, that's not easy, but I'm sure most casual fans aren't going to totally understand what goes in to learning that and then being able to put it out on the floor.
Yeah, we run a totally different style than they did at Cal State Northridge. So everything that we've been putting in the last 6 months is brand new to him. And it takes a while, and to figure out, okay, here's how I get my shot. Here's how I get Jabril a shot. Here's how I get Tyler or Raekwon, all these guys, these weapons that he has around him. And now it's kind of like, okay, I've seen it for 15 games, and now he's seeing the mismatches that we could possibly have, and he's one making some of those calls, which is tremendous.
Yeah, a lot of fun to see what he's doing there. And, of course, then in the Northern Arizona game, went over 1,000 career points, which we'll talk about in a moment. We're also going to talk a little bit about Tyler Patterson, who had a great game against Northern Arizona.
Terrific.
He'll be joining us in the show a little bit later as well. And then on the women's side, we're going to be talking to Lexi Deaton as well. So we'll talk to Lexi a little bit later in the show as we flip over to that side of hoops. But first, we're going to take a break. And as we do, I want to remind you that at Montana's Rib and Chop House, our staff is dedicated to creating extraordinary experiences that raise the bar in each of our communities. Enjoy premium steaks, fresh seafood, and award-winning baby back ribs. We look forward to sharing a little Rocky Mountain hospitality with you. All right, we'll take a break. This is Cat Chat from Learfield. We are back on Cat Chat, live from Montana's Ribbon Chop House. I'm Keaton Galogly alongside head coach Danny Sprinkle. A little later, we'll be joined by Tyler Patterson and then Lexi Deaton as we talk about both some men's and women's basketball. We just finished wrapping up talking about the Northern Colorado win for the men, 77-56. We'll turn our attentions here to the Northern Arizona win, a 2-0 week for Montana State. A ball game Montana State won 69-54. And, Coach, before we really kind of dive into this game, let's just talk a little bit about some personnel. Caleb Fuller able to come back in this game after that ankle injury, so that was good to see. But Patrick McMahon did not travel this weekend. Where's McMahon, and how's he doing right now?
Yeah, Patty, he had surgery yesterday. He ended up he had a broken foot, and so he'll more than likely be out for the season, which is disappointing because he was just kind of coming into his own. And but those kind of things happen, and he's all in for his teammates, and they're all in for him, and we're praying for a speedy recovery for him. And he got through it, great yesterday. And then Caleb Fuller, he that same day at practice, both of them were non-contact. Caleb was just backpedaling and stepped on somebody's foot and tweaked his ankle pretty good. And I was surprised. I didn't think he was going to be able to play all weekend. I wanted him to come on the trip because he has a tremendous voice. And just his presence and his maturity. I wanted that around our team. And he ended up playing. He fought through it at Northern Arizona. And and gave us some valuable minutes.
Right, well, and you kind of needed him because there was some foul trouble there. I mean, Bello got in a little bit of foul trouble, and so did Osabor with a couple other guys. It was like 4 or 5 guys with 2 personal fouls in that first half. What were you seeing? I mean, was it just kind of a tightly officiated games? Were guys getting a little sloppy? I mean, what did you see?
Yeah, I mean, they were fouls, even though I didn't think they were during the game.
That's how it goes.
That's how it goes. But, there was a couple. They were close, but, our guys, our veteran guys need to be smarter than – some of the fouls that we had called on us.
So Darius Brown and Tyler Patterson both had big games in this contest. Darius Brown had his Montana State high. His career high is 26 when he was at Northridge, but 22 here, and really filled up the stat sheet again. He hit 2 threes in this game late in the contest again. This is the second time we've seen him hit late threes in important spots. He did it in that Eastern Washington game, even though it was a loss in that contest. He still hit some really key threes. I've been impressed with he doesn't take a lot of shots early, and then all of a sudden he steps up and takes one of the biggest shots of the game, and they've been going down.
No, he can really shoot it, and the 2 that he made against Northern Arizona were deep. And one was at the end of the shot clock, and it was huge. I think they may have cut it to 8 or 9 at that point, and he made it. But he's been tremendous, scoring the basketball and picking his spots when to attack, and he knows he's going to draw attention. And when off kind of our drag ball screens and transition, he's really good. He was really good on Saturday against NAU with that. And then when they start collapsing, that's when he starts filing Tyler Patterson and Raekwon, or he hits Jabril and great on the rolls. And so he's got just a great feel, and he's a tremendous passer.
And so the first three-point field goal he hit, that put him over 1,000 career points. The second three-point field goal he hit was really the dagger in that game. So fun to see. And for Darius Brown now, his career stats, he's got 1,010 points. He's got 509 assists, 155 steals, and he's at 440 rebounds with another year of eligibility left. That's pretty impressive.
No, it will to hopefully be a 1,000 points, 500 assists, and 500 rebounds is tremendous, and it just shows he has versatility, and he just keeps getting better and better every year.
So we're going to talk with Tyler Patterson in a little bit here, and partly because he knocked down another 5 threes in this game against NAU, 5 of 7. He's got the best conference three-point shooting percentage from the three-point line. He's making the most three-point field goals per game in the Big Sky in conference play right now, and impressive to watch the way he bounced back after that slow start. And it started after you kind of took him out of the starting lineup. Take us back to that. What was the conversation like, and why did you make that decision with Tyler? Why did you think that was going to get him going?
Yeah, I wanted to challenge him, and I didn't think he was playing up to his capability, and I kind of wanted to just shake him up a little bit, and he was getting such good shots, and he's such an elite shooter that it was only a matter of time before he broke out, and I can see him even going to another level for the next 14 to 15 games in conference.
Yeah, we got a lot of basketball left, and a lot of basketball this weekend with 3 games in 5 days on Thursday, Saturday, and on Monday. But I also want to ask you a little bit about his defense. He was on a couple of high school teams where defense was their calling card. He was a high school conference defensive player of the year, and we've seen him against a couple of these top scorers. What have you seen in his perimeter defense this year?
Yeah, I think, compared to his first 2 years, he's taken a huge step defensively. He's really turned into, our best perimeter defender. He's done a really good job of, rebounding. I know he had 6 the other day at NAU, but being able to just keep guys in front with his, he's 6'8" and he's long, and he's done a tremendous job of, whether it was guarding Northern Colorado's tremendous guards or, NAU's, Idaho's, everybody in the league has 3 really good guards, and he's done a tremendous job stepping up in that regard.
Right. Speaking of the defense in this NAU game, Jalen Cone for them, one of the great players, one of the great scorers in this league. He got to 12 points, but he went 2 of 10 from the field, and he was a guy who was averaging like 25 points a game over the last 6 or 7.
Yeah.
So really impressive the way you slowed that kid down in this game.
Yeah, and that was kind of a team effort. I got to give Robert and Darius obviously a lot of credit. They were on him the most, but even our bigs and other guards that switched onto him at times did a great job. I mean, it's tremendous just limiting him to 10 field goal attempts. Because he has the ball in his hands all game, and he's so fast. And the second you even relax, the shot's going up. And so our guys all, it was a team effort stopping him. And the one thing I think we did was Darius made him work on the defensive end too. He made him guard Darius, and so that kind of wore him out.
Yep, and then you kind of mentioned Ford. I feel like we got to make sure we give him his kudos because what he's been doing defensively as of late has been so impressive. And, he's not a big guy, but then all of a sudden it's just like, boom, there he is, and he's ripping that ball away. His defensive motor, especially since whatever that was about after we got back from Canada, has really taken a whole other step.
It has, and I asked him the other day, even in front of the team after practice, it was yesterday, I said, if you had to grade yourself on how you played, what would you say? And he's like, like C minus. And I said, like, that's the problem with some guys on our team right now is you're just judging yourself by if you made shots or not. I said, you affected the game defensively. You got on the floor, you got a steal. You flipped it over your head, got Darius a layup. You fronted the post, you deflected it. Caleb got it, he got fouled, you got 2 points. He had another steal where he made a great play. We got 2 points. I said, you scored 6 points just off your defense. Like, those are game-changing plays. And the job he did on Jalen Cone, we don't win that game, without Rob and his defensive presence.
Yeah, interesting. So it does sound like you're kind of trying to pump up his confidence a little bit because he's playing better than he thinks he's playing. Is that right?
Yeah, well, and it was the truth. I mean, we're a defensive-minded team, and I wanted our guys to know that it doesn't matter if you're making shots or not. You can still win the game on the defensive end. And your defense can lead to offense, which, it did, especially in both those games. Our defense led to our offense, and, we're a good team if we're defending, and we're an average team if we're not.
All right, in just a bit, we're going to talk with Tyler Patterson, but first I do just want to get a couple of things to look for coming up this weekend. So Thursday against Idaho State for the men at home. That's at 7 p.m. Saturday, 4 p.m. against Weber State, and then Monday, 7 p.m. at Idaho. Quickly, Idaho State, they're 3-0 after going 5-15 in the conference last year. What's been the turnaround? What are some things people should look for in this game on Thursday night?
Yeah, they're much improved. They got 2 really good transfer guards. They have a transfer 4-man that's playing well and a transfer 5 that started a lot of games at BYU. That's actually a backup to Braden Parker, who's been playing tremendous as well as anybody in the league. And so, they're a very, very good team. I'm not surprised that they're 3-0. I think a lot of people just based on last year are. But when I saw the players that they brought in and just knowing Coach Looney and the job he does, it's going to be a tough game on Thursday night.
They're going to be coming in with a lot of confidence and well-rested after a one-game week and a 10-point win at Weber State this last week. So an impressive win on their part. All right, Coach, appreciate the time, appreciate the insight. We're going to take a break and have a chance to talk to Tyler Patterson. So thank you.
You bet. Appreciate you guys coming. Go Cats.
All right, that's head coach Danny Sprinkle. On the other side of this timeout, we'll sit down with Tyler Patterson. We're taking a break. This is Cat Chat from Learfield. Welcome back to Cat Chat, live from Montana's Ribbon Chop House. Montana's Ribbon Chop House has been serving Rocky Mountain communities for over 20 years. Our ability to grow has come through our commitment to Rocky Mountain hospitality, a concept which incorporates a casual attitude with our commitment to loyalty, safety, service, and quality food. We hope you'll be our guest at one of our Montana locations soon. I'm Keaton Galogly, and we are joined now by sophomore Tyler Patterson. Tyler, how we doing?
Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for joining us. So third-year sophomore, is that
Yeah,
right?
yep,
Okay.
exactly.
Yeah, it's hard keeping track of.
It is.
Yeah,
COVID kind of screws everything up.
yeah, freshman, sophomore, junior, they're really more kind of just like suggestions. than
Exactly.
what you actually are.
Yeah, never know these days.
Right. Well, what was the timeline for you within COVID and coming here? So, like, what was the timeline? What did you miss? Which season of yours was cut short?
My freshman year was the COVID year, so my first year here, so that was kind of like a 0 year.
Right.
And then,
yeah.
So second year was technically first year, but COVID freshman, COVID sophomore, so third year, but second year.
Right.
It all works together.
Yeah, and so then last year was finally the first year you got to play in front of fans
Yeah,
here,
exactly.
which was nice.
Yeah.
What was that like, kind of going from the no fans to the atmosphere we have here?
It was a lot different, but it was amazing. Finally get fans and have those people there at the games. It was cool to kind of see people.
Yeah.
So it was good.
So when you were playing in high school, like what was the atmosphere like at some of your high school games? Like, was it loud or was it a little more chill?
It was a little more chill, but you just had the student section and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So that was cool to have your friends there every game and stuff like that. But yeah, so it was good. It was good to get fans finally.
Right, yeah, because I was curious if it would be like tough where you're trying to like bring your own energy to the floor in some of those empty arenas.
Yeah, no, that was definitely a tough thing, and it was kind of like it was just you and your team, kind of against everybody. So you didn't really have like outside sources of positivity and stuff. So you had to rely on each other a lot.
Yeah.
So it was different, but I think it really helped us.
Yeah. In what way? In the communication?
Yeah, just communication. Like I think our last year, making it to NCAA tournament, we were so close because we had been through that together as a team already. And so that just, I just think it helped us get closer. And we won a lot of close games last year, and I think that was one of the big reasons why.
Yeah, those close games, man. That really kind of comes down to it. We've already seen a couple of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun to watch, though, even though
It
I'm sure
is.
it kind of
It
tightens
is.
everything up on
It
your
does, for sure.
All right, well, let's talk a little bit about your journey just this season. We kind of talked with Coach a little bit about what you've been doing in the conference season after the slow start. What was your reaction when he said, "Hey, I'm going to take you off the bench here and try to get you going"?
Anything for the team. I knew I hadn't been playing up to par in the first half of the season, and so I was just ready to kind of let things happen, and then once I come off the bench, be aggressive, then you see a couple shots fall, and then I'll just start getting back to you. So I knew at some point it was going to pop through. It was just a matter of time.
Yeah, was it one of those things where you had to change something? Like, was it mechanical? What was it?
No, I think it was just mental. Just pressure and stuff like that. Sometimes it can get to you sometimes, but it's good to just relax. And once you relax, then it's just it's just been doing its muscle memory. So once that happens, it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, well, that matter of time's up, and it's
Exactly.
been fun to watch lately.
It has been, yeah, it's been good.
I want to talk a little bit about your defense, too, because it does seem like we've seen a little bit more from you over the last couple of weeks in particular. But first, I want to go all the way back to high school, right?
Yeah.
Tell me about what defense meant to you and your high school teams.
Well, that was a big thing for us, especially in high school. You're trying to get recruited, you're trying to get seen by coaches, and defense is half the game, so it's something that can really catch their eye. And so my goal individually was like, I'm going to, it doesn't matter what's happening on offense, I'm not going to let that affect my defense. And so, trying to be the defensive stopper and stuff like that, coaches really take that highly. And, once you get into college, you're not going to play unless you can play defense. And so you got to be able to stay on the floor on defense. And so, it's just always something that's been super important to me.
How did you figure that out? Like, was it a coach or somebody else that told you? Like, where did that come from?
I think it just came from competitiveness. Like we would play in a couple like national level tournaments, and you get to play these really good players who have these like all these stars and stuff, and I'd be like taking them on myself, like, oh, I can shut them down. Let's see how I stand up against them. And so it was just started like that, and then just kept going, and then you might as well take on that role if you can. So we've just been working on it ever since.
Yeah, well, it helps to be, 6'8", got a nice
It
long
does.
wingspan?
It definitely does, that's for sure.
Well, when was your growth spurt? Like, when did you?
Definitely after my freshman year of high school, I think I gained like 30 pounds and got a couple inches of height. So that was probably the biggest moment.
Right, yeah. So did that, like what was that like? Well, all of a sudden you're like, wow, I'm like 6 inches taller. Did you feel like you were walking weird?
Yeah, and you could get your shot off against anyone. That was the biggest thing. I could just rise up over people.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so you go through that. You get your growth spurt. You're a defensive stopper. You're knocking down those 3-point shots, and you choose to come to Montana State. Tell us a little bit about the decision to come here, because kind of when you came here, that was early when Danny was just getting settled. There hadn't really been a championship-level team here in years. There'd only been 1 or 2 teams over 500, the Big Sky, over the last 10 or 11 years before you got here. So what was it? Why did you trust Danny, and why did you want to come here and play at Montana State?
Well, I mean, I had a couple meetings with him, and his biggest thing was where he wanted to get to as a program, and that's obviously something I want to do. Make an NCAA tournament, and we did that, and so you could just tell right away that he was all about winning and getting to those tournaments and stuff. And then I came on my visit and loved it here. Went to the football game. It was a blast. And then my mom actually went here for college, so she loved it here, and so it was just an easy connection.
Ah, okay. So was that how Montana State kind of got on your map?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. So it was cool. It was kind of a cool thing.
Yeah. So when she comes back here now, I'm like, she's got to love it, yeah?
Yeah, she loves it. She wants to live out here.
Well, good. You got your little flag plant
exactly, yeah.
That's cool. So you trusted it out. What were some of the other schools that were kind of top of mind for you at the time?
I think Seattle U, Cal Poly, Pepperdine. Those were kind of the other ones, but I didn't end up taking any other visits. I just took my first one here and loved it. So it all worked out.
Yeah. And then you're from not Seattle.
Yeah, just outside Seattle.
Okay, Snoqualmie.
Yep, that's how you say it. Yep.
Up in the mountains there in Washington and the Cascades.
Yep, right in the Cascades, a couple miles out from Snoqualmie Pass.
Okay, so happy to still be in kind of a mountain town.
Yeah, exactly. It was kind of like a Montana part of Seattle that you could kind of get a little bit of the mountains, but obviously it's nothing like here. But I love it here. So
yeah. Here we don't have an hour drive to go get to one of the major metropolitan areas.
Exactly. Yep.
Well, I want to ask you a little bit about your teammates too, and get some feel from your perspective. Tell us a little bit about Darius Brown. Kind of how he's fit into the culture here.
Yeah, no, he's really great player. When we first got out here, one of the biggest things that I kind of noticed is how much he loves to pass the ball, which is something huge for a point guard, because they got to be able to score the ball, but they always got to be able to facilitate the offense. And so that was the biggest thing. And then I think he just reached 500 assists or something like that.
Yeah, he did in the Northern Colorado game.
Yeah, and that's obviously a huge feat. But yeah, he's really about all the team and whatever needs to be done for the team. And so that was a really big thing that I kind of noticed right away.
Did his demeanor change at all as he got more comfortable, or was it kind of right away?
I think it always takes time when you come to a new team. We had a couple new players, so it kind of took a while. But since it's clicked, it's been just really good, really smooth.
Yeah.
And you can tell we're all starting to learn where we're at on the floor together, spacing, stuff like that. So, and he's learning it too, and so it's all coming together.
When did you feel like it started to click?
I think it started to click early, but it's just how long is it going to clip for? Is it going to be the whole game? Is it just going to be sequences? And so I think pretty recently, I'd say probably since we started conferences, been clicking for the whole game and stuff like that. So it's been really good.
Yeah, and I know kind of that Southern Utah game felt like kind of a big turning point.
Yeah, it felt like it kind of got over the hump in that sense.
Yeah, what was that game like from your perspective? Because the context of that was 3 close, kind of winnable losses in Canada.
Exactly.
You're still on the road for 8 days. It's a long road trip to get up to Cedar City. Jabril gets ejected in that game for that call, and you still find a way to come out and win. What was that moment? What was that game like from your perspective and in the locker room?
Well, going into the game, we were we got to get this win because we can't be going out here 0-4, and so it was just kind of our back was against the wall, and how are we going to respond? And then obviously when Jabril got ejected, it was kind of okay, we're really against the wall now, and it just showed us that we can always find a way to win, and defensively we just got to get stops when it needed. I think Ray got a big steal at the very end. And that just kind of, shows that defense really travels, and that's how you win basketball games.
No doubt. It's been fun, too, to see it doesn't have to be the same guy taking over
Exactly,
every night.
Yeah. We can, anytime any of us can get going. And so that's something that's, really hard for other teams to guard because you can take one person away, but someone else can just step up and have a great game. And so it makes it really hard for us to be guarded.
Well, we'll need some of that depth and a lot of guys this week with 3 games this week, no doubt.
Yeah, yep.
All right, Tyler Patterson joining us today. Appreciate the time and looking forward to watching the rest of the year.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, Tyler Patterson. We're going to take a break, and on the other side of this timeout, we'll start talking some women's hoops. We're sitting at Montana's Ribbon Chop House, and this is Cat Chat from Learfield. Ribbon Chop House talking Montana State basketball. We also want to remind you that Universal Athletic has been a proud supporter of Bobcat Athletics for over 45 years. Shop their great selection of Bobcat apparel and accessories for all your game day needs. Shop in-store at their North 7th Avenue location or online at shop.msubobcats.com. Go Cats. I'm Keaton Galogly, and we are joined by Associate Head Coach Sonny Smallwood to talk some women's hoops. Tricia Binford is out finding the new next generation of Montana State Bobcats. But Coach Smallwood, thank you for joining us and pinch hitting today.
Well, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So first, kind of introduce yourself before we dive into this. Give us a little of your background. I know you're very well traveled within this game, so give us a little of your background.
Sure, of course. Well, I've been in this business a long time and thoroughly enjoyed it. I've had a great journey. Most of my time has been spent at Power Fives. Previously to this, I was at Arizona, and then I spent a couple years at Boise State, and then before that, Nebraska and Cal and so on. Really blessed to be working with Coach Binford now. She is, if not the best head coach I've ever had the opportunity to work with. And I'm just so grateful for the opportunity and feel like we do good work together.
Yeah, so what is it like? I mean, what does Montana State feel like? Like, what makes this place special? Having been at all the Power Fives and all these different places, what's it like here compared to there?
You know, what's really special about Montana State is it feels as much like a Power Five as a mid-major ever could. And a lot of that is due to a tremendous president who's supportive of athletics and women's basketball. You've got Leon Costello and all of our administration who are just incredible supporters and just really, you know, do everything they can to help us and our student athletes. And then Tricia Binford. I mean, she's becoming an icon just with the work that she does, the consistency with which she does it, and the grace with which she does it.
Yeah, not easy to be in this business at one spot the way she has been. Like, that is rare for her to be able to do that. And not only that, but to change the culture the way she has. I mean, right now the expectations are completely different than when she first got here.
Absolutely. You know, she'll tell you that there'd been like 5 coaches in 7 years or something like that before she came. And for her to steady this program and then take it to where it's at right now is an incredible feat. And like you said, it's not easy to stay in this business. But you know, she's such a great manager of people as well as a great X's and O's person, and that's partly what makes her special.
All right, well, let's get into this weekend. It was a 1-1 weekend against Northern Colorado and Northern Arizona. Tell us a little bit about this Northern Colorado game. It was a 61-40 win and really balanced scoring in this game for you guys.
Absolutely. You know, we went into this game knowing that we were going to have to win it with defense. They shot the 3 extremely well, and they had, you know, posts and guards both that could shoot it well. So we knew, knowing that defending the 3 has not necessarily been our strength. And our kids did a great job of following the scout to the tee and then putting it in on the other end as well, which was really fun.
Right, and the Northern Colorado was showing that zone, right? So that defense was a little bit different than what you guys have seen?
Yes, we haven't seen a ton of zone this year. But again, I thought our kids were poised. I thought the game plan going in just to settle them a little bit was really specific and made it simplified for them. You know, we work on making sure that we keep things simple, and whether it's our execution or whether it's our strategy going in.
Yeah, it's got to be tough from a coach's perspective where you have all of this in your head. You put in all this time, all this research, all this tape watching, and then to try to boil that down into the most effective sentence you possibly can.
Absolutely. You know, that old adage of it's not what you tell them, it's what they hear. And so you have to, as a coach, make sure you're monitoring and adjusting as you see what they're hearing and what they're actually doing. And so being flexible, making sure that we say it differently or we say it again or, you know, even make changes if we need to. And what I give credit to Coach Binford for is that she's not only listening to her coach and staff, but she's also listening to her players. And she wants their feedback as well, whether it's, you know, off the court in practices or during the week, but also in games. And, you know, because they see what's going on and they know what's going on.
Yeah, that's a little different mindset, I think, across the board in all of sports, right? It's not just, you can't just coach by dictatorship anymore. It does sound like it needs to be a little more collaborative. Is that something you've seen change over the years?
Absolutely. And I think with good reason. You're starting to get these players who have been playing a really long time, and they've become good with their IQs for the game because of that. And so it would be a disservice not to take advantage of that.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about this Northern Arizona game. The one loss this weekend, but Northern Arizona is a tremendous team. This was an important game. This was an 85-80 loss. But, man, this game started just with some serious gusto. The tip, they score, the offensive foul on Montana State. But still, it just felt like right from the opening tip, like that energy was just boiling over right away. What did you see?
Yeah, I think it was the same thing. I felt like our kids came out with a lot of gusto. I felt like they came out with a lot of energy. Like you said, Madison Jackson, we call her Jack. She came out, attacked the basket, and usually what she does is pull up, and in this time she just mowed the girl over. It was a good call by the officials and had to go back on defense, but I felt like our kids kept their momentum and kept their energy and kept attacking, and hence it was a back and forth game all the way. But there were plenty of things that were messing with our poise and messing with our energy, and keeping them focused and keeping them just in line with what they needed to be doing was our job.
Yeah, what were some of the factors that you felt like threw you guys off your pedestal a little bit?
I feel like in terms of the way the game went, they called it pretty tight. And on both ends for that matter. And so you just have to adjust. I mean, that's just one more piece of it that you have to adjust to, whether it's coaches or whether it's the players. And that's what we needed to do, was make those adjustments, and whether it was in our calls. But defensively, we didn't want to adjust, because we're at our best when we are pressuring the ball. We're at our best when we're attacking those gaps, and that's something that we continued to do. We did get in a little bit of foul trouble, with our post play. I know Cola and Lexi both kind of got a couple fouls, but thankfully we have quite a bit of depth. Taylor came off the bench, did a great job. Mara gave us some great energy on the defensive end, and so we were able to maintain it. Now, from a transition standpoint, we have a lot of work to do there.
Yeah, so I know that was kind of a big stat line in this, where a lot of their transition offense. Where was some of that transition offense coming from for them? I mean, was it tips? Was it off missed buckets? Like, where was it?
It was a little bit of everything, and we felt like one of the things that we could have done better is making sure we have what we call a stopper that picks up the ball, and we felt like we weren't engaged in that as much as we should have been, and so we really challenged all of our players who play that particular piece of the defense to make sure that they get to the right spot to start that. And then that hopefully will contain the ball enough up the court that everyone else can get into position.
Yeah. Now, at the end of this game, too, I mean, it was back and forth. There were some chances down the stretch, and it did feel like, there was just a little bit of that offensive drought at the end of this game, which I think is surprising when you look at this roster. You have so many players, it's so deep, so many scores. So when you have seen some of the inconsistency on the offensive end, what do you think has caused that?
I don't know if I know what's causing it, but I think that we have a group of young women who, on any given day, like you see, the night before, I think we had, I guess it was in this game, actually. We have 4 or 5 kids in double figures, and then, so a lot of kids are putting up points.
Right.
I will say down the stretch in this game, we missed some easy shots. I mean, throughout the course of the game, of course, but you really notice them down the stretch.
Yeah.
And, the important thing is you've got to go down, you've got to get stops, and you've got to bring it back the other way. We always are big believers that we're going to win with defense, but at the same time, you've got to put the ball in the hole.
Yeah, sometimes it just comes down to those made shots.
Absolutely.
We're going to talk with Lexi Deaton here in just a little bit. Tell us a little bit about Lexi and kind of where she's been this season and how she's grown throughout the year.
Just Lexi overall, just an incredible young woman. I mean, from the time we recruited her, we knew she was going to be an impact kid for us. What I've loved about this year is all that hard work that she's been doing is really starting to come into fruition. She's finding her consistency on the offensive end. She's got that tremendous turnaround jumper, as well as learning to play off 2 feet and take it to the basket. She gets to the foul line for us. She gets rebounds for us. And I will tell you that she is probably one of the most competitive players on our team. Having said that, on the defensive end, she probably causes as many or more deflections than anyone on the team. I'd say her and KJ probably lead the team in that area. So from everything I've just told you, you can see that she's a very important part of what we're doing. And I give, Chris Mays a lot of credit for the development of our post play this year and just the short time he's been with us. He's doing a great job with Lexi.
Awesome. We're going to talk with Lexi in a second, but first I do want to get your thoughts on this coming week. So here's the schedule for women's hoops. Thursday, 7 p.m. at Idaho State. Saturday, 1 p.m. at Weber State. And then home against Idaho with an opportunity on that Monday at 7 p.m. But tell us a little bit about this Idaho State team. They're 3-0 this year. They won the conference at 15-5 last year. What are some of the keys going into this game on Thursday?
I think one of the keys is going to be match their physicality, match or exceed. I think understanding that it's going to be one of those games where they're a very system-oriented team, and we have to understand that they're going to play, I would say, predominantly man-to-man against us. And so we have to make sure that we stay poised and that we are, from an offensive standpoint, looking for the right shots, making sure that we know what we're looking for in each set that we're attacking them with. From a defensive standpoint, we've got to stay attack-minded. I've already said we're at our best when we're ball pressuring, when we're attacking gaps, and also we are a much better team when we're going to the board. So it's, again, keeping it simple. Be who we are, keep each kid doing what they do, and go after the win.
Love it. Can't wait. You guys will be on the road on Thursday and Saturday, but Cat Country will be able to see you play at home on Monday, 7 p.m. against Idaho. Associate Head Coach Sonny Smallwood, thank you so much for some of the time and insight today.
Thanks, Keaton. Appreciate it.
All right, we'll take a break from Montana's Rib and Chop House, and when we get back, we'll chat with Lexi Deedon. We're taking a break. This is Cat Chat from Learfield. We are back at Montana's Ribbon Chop House for Cat Chat. I'm Keaton Galogly alongside Lexi Deeden talking some women's hoops here at the Ribbon Chop House. And Lexi, how we doing? How we feeling?
Great. Excited.
Yes, welcome to the show. Third-year player now, right? Junior?
Yep, junior.
All right. So, yeah, no, it's still, like we said with Tyler, it's kind of weird still figuring all those, what year everybody
Yeah,
is.
it is. It's very weird.
Yeah, well, so what was your timeline with COVID? What season got cut short for you?
My freshman year.
Okay.
Yep.
So yeah, that's tough. So what was that like when you're trying to get up to speed with like the college game and you can't go through the normal practices?
It's really weird.
Yeah.
I will be honest. Like, especially playing in front of a crowd or no crowd.
Right.
It's
Yeah. Well,
kind of awful.
So I'll ask you the same question I asked Tyler. Like, what were your high school crowds like? Were they loud?
Yes, they were very loud. I mean, I'm from Missoula, so I had Sentinel and, like, especially the crosstowns. We got to be in the Adams Center, so there was so many fans.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a big gap when you're
Yeah.
trying to go from these huge atmospheres to
Exactly,
that.
yeah.
So, okay. So, and from Missoula, and your mother played basketball, right?
Yep.
Okay. So she played with that team in maroon.
Yep, she did. That team, yep.
Yeah. Well, what was that like when you were going through the recruiting process? Like, first of all, did you grow up a Montana fan?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
But as I was choosing schools, I decided to go there for engineering.
Yeah.
So to be a Bozeman Bobcat, and it was just a better fit for me at that time.
Right.
So,
Well,
yeah.
and so what was it like with her, kind of like seeing what you were doing? Like, what were some of her opinions when you were looking at Montana State? Like, were you nervous to tell her, hey, I think I might go to Montana State?
You know, I think she just wants the best for me, and she was all in once I decided. So, yeah.
So does she wear Montana State gear now?
Oh yeah.
Oh, she does?
She's full in.
Okay.
But I think she's definitely both sides.
Yeah. So will she go
Yep.
back to wearing Montana gear when you graduate?
I don't know.
Ooh,
that's a
that'll be
good question for her. Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny because we've seen that for some other student
Yeah.
athletes too.
Yep.
So what was it about Montana State that kind of drew you here? You mentioned the engineering.
Yeah, the coaches for sure.
Was it?
I love the atmosphere and the family here, the fans especially too.
Yeah.
And just coming to some of their games, I was here for the conference championship, and they won against the Grizzlies, and that was like the coolest thing with the confetti all coming down. So it was awesome.
It's amazing how much how impactful that is on a recruit like yourself. Like when you're in
Yeah.
high school and seeing those wins and it kind of snowballs like that.
It
like,
does.
What's it like? You kind of mentioned it, but like as the student athlete who's thinking about coming here, what does a win like that mean when you're making your decisions?
You know, at that time I already made my decision, and it
Okay.
just proved that point.
Yeah.
But no, for sure, I'm like, I want to be there. I
Yeah.
want to be cutting those nets down, and that's what this team does.
Right, yes,
Yeah.
that is. Yes, that is. And tell us a little more about Trisha Binford. You mentioned her. We kind of talked about her hitting her 300th win here,
Yeah.
the way she's changed the culture over the years. What makes her such an impactful coach?
I think she's just such a relentless coach. She will do anything to win, and I think that is so important. She also has built such a family here in culture, and she cares about every player. So
Yeah,
That's
well, it's
all.
been fun to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now, as a junior, when you're kind of carrying that culture, what's it like incorporating some of the freshmen now into Montana State and that sort of thing?
our freshmen, they're awesome.
Are they?
They've literally they've came in like none other and have performed, and they've been great. I
Yeah.
mean, they make us better too. I mean,
The upperclassmen, it makes you guys better?
yeah, yep. And the freshmen, they like Dylan Phillips. I swear, every time she's snagging balls and getting layups at the other end.
Yeah, well, that means a lot coming from you
Yeah.
since you're such a defensive stalwart there, right?
Yeah, she's sometimes annoying. I'm like, Dylan, come on.
Yeah, kind of player that you're glad she's on your team.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, tell us a little bit about your defense and that kind of competitiveness. Sonny kind of mentioned it too. Like, where does that come from? I mean, is it just the basketball family you grew up in?
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, my family's all about sports, and obviously my aunts, my uncles all played basketball, and I think my mom has really been there by my side, being that competitive spirit always, and I love getting those steals and those little pokes. That's just how I am. I mean, I've worn knee pads since I was like 8.
Oh,
so
Yeah, they probably weren't as nice a knee pads.
no, they're like volleyball weird knee pads, you know.
Oh yeah. They're like kind of clunky.
Yes.
Yeah, those like cloth
Yes.
ones. Yeah.
They're awful, but always have bruises on my knees and stuff. So
Yeah, no, they're not as awful as the bruises.
yes, yeah, exactly.
So did your mom ever, like, when was the first time, did you ever beat your mom in one-on-one? Like,
Oh, I don't.
was she
she's
so
like
competitive
kinda,
that she wouldn't let you win?
No, she would always. I mean, yes, she's very competitive. We'd play horse and stuff, but I'd say my brother, him and me are very competitive with each other, and he's made me a lot better as a
Yeah.
basketball player.
And
so
he's playing college too, right?
yeah, he's at Montana Tech.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Yep.
Yeah. So how do you guys compare, like size-wise? Like, is he much bigger than you, or are you bigger than him? Like,
6'4",
Oh,
so yeah, he's quite a bit bigger than me.
yeah. So that kind of gives you that like scrappy
So
mentality.
yeah, exactly. Playing with your brother, you know.
Yeah. Did that help develop maybe some of your post moves too?
Oh, for sure, because he'd block me all the time. I'm like, oh, how do I do this? Like against LSU, I'm like, okay. I played against my brother. It's basically the same players, I guess, post players that they're comparable, so I can just shoot layups around them. But
Right. So you're not going to be quite as intimidated by that.
yes, exactly.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's talk a little class. We only have a few more minutes left, but I know you kind of mentioned engineering when you came here, but did you recently change
Yeah,
majors?
I recently changed to elementary education, and my mom, she's a teacher. I'm
Okay.
kind of following in her footsteps now, but my dad was the engineer, so I loved engineering. I love math, so we'll see. I think I want to be a math teacher
Yeah.
for best both worlds.
Yeah, that would
Yeah.
work. Would that include some like high school coaching too, maybe?
I think so, yeah, for
Okay.
sure.
So you're like kind of mentally taking notes about the way the coaches communicate
Yeah,
now?
yeah. I'm like our defense. I'm definitely gonna bring that to the next school. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be cool. Hey, and, it'll be fun when they're like, you can say, hey, I played D1 hoops. I know how it worked out there.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, that'll be cool. So what was some of the motivation to make that change from engineering? I mean, I know it's super demanding on top of the student-athlete schedule. Like, what was it that made you decide to go that route?
You know, I love kids. I'm not gonna lie, and I started subbing my sophomore year of college, sophomore year of college, end of it, and I just loved it, and I'm like, I think I'm gonna go hit that route. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it's admirable. It's not easy for sure.
No,
and
it's
I
not.
know we need teachers here
Yes.
in Montana
Yeah.
too. So thank you for going in that route.
yes.
All right. Well, Lexi Deaton, thank you so much for coming up and chatting with us.
Yeah.
Excited about this coming week. Are you ready? 3 games in 5 days. You physically? You ready?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Good.
Fearless mentality.
I love it. Let's get after it. So you got Idaho State on Thursday, Weber State on Saturday, and Idaho at home on Monday. So a lot of travel, and we're right in the thick of things
Yes.
now. All right, Lexi Deaton. A couple of thank yous before we say our final goodbye. The end of the show's coming up here quite quickly. So thank you to Lexi Deaton for joining us today. Thank you to Coach Sonny Smallwood. Thank you to Tyler Patterson. And, of course, to Danny Sprinkle for joining us. John O'Connor is back in the studios today. Appreciate him as our producer this evening. And I'm Keaton Galogly saying so long from Montana's Rib and Chop House. Oh, one wonderful place to host, and if you haven't been here, please come join us at Montana's Rib and Chop House. An absolutely delicious, wonderful menu that's very, very deep, and you got plenty of Rocky Mountain hospitality. All right, that will wrap it up, and we'll talk to you again on Thursday. Until then, go Cats, and this has been Cat Chat from Learfield.